Hello, third graders. Okay, so we are going to start a new little section in our reader, and instead of reading one long story, we're actually going to be reading two shorter stories, and they're both about wolves. One is called Welcome Back, Wolves, and one is called Wolves Don't Belong in Yellowstone. And we're going to hear the arguments that both authors make in their in their pieces. But before we start that, I want us to take a look at our essential questions. So you're going to be on page 340. I think it's 340. That would be a good thing for me to know for you. And we're going to look at this together, and then we're going to look at some vocabulary words. Yep, 340. Okay. So the question that we're going to be working through with both of these stories is, how does reintroduction of species affect the plants and animals in a habitat? And that word reintroduction right here, that's an important word that I want us to take a look at. Okay? Reintroduction, I guess I can't make it big, but reintroduction, do we see that prefix re? So that means we know it means again. So to introduce again, that means that the animal has left, and then they're reintroducing it. They're bringing it back. Okay, so if we think about Wolf Island, the wolves left, and then the wolves were reintroduced. They came back to the island, right? So that's an important word. So the question is, how does bringing those animals back or reintroducing them affect the other plants and animals in a habitat? And on this page, there are some really beautiful pictures here, really cool pictures. And we're going to take a look at 4 different types of animals. Okay, so bringing animals back. An animal may disappear from a particular place due to human activity. Later on, people may help that animal return to its natural habitat. Okay, California condors are one. A California condor is the biggest bird in North America. In the 1980s, there were only about 20 left in the world, all living in zoos. Wow. In 1992, a few were released back into the wild. Today, more than 400 live in California and nearby areas. Wow. Okay, so if there were only 20 left in the world, does that mean that they were extinct? No, extinct means that there are none left, right? But it means that they're endangered, or they're on the endangered list, right? Because there aren't very many. So a group worked together to reintroduce the California condors back into the wild. So in 1992, I know that seems like a long time ago to you guys, but in 1992, they released some back, and now there are more than 400 living in California and the nearby areas, because that's their natural habitat. Like, they wouldn't live in Indiana. Okay, at the bottom of the page, the desert pupfish. The desert pupfish lives in harsh places where other animals cannot easily live. It disappeared from more livable places when other animals moved in and took over. Today, work is underway to bring the pupfish back. Okay, so this story is different than the California condors. It's not a success story yet, right? The California condors, we can say, oh my gosh, now there's 400. But the pupfish, they're still working on that, okay? Because the pupfish kind of got moved out of their area. More and more animals moved into where the pupfish would live. So the pupfish got pushed out. Now they're trying to reintroduce them into where they would normally have lived. Okay, let's take a look at the top of the page. Bighorn sheep. Bighorns are wild sheep that live in the American West. By the 1940s, they had died out in Oregon due to hunting and disease. Scientists brought many back from Canada and other places. Today, there are about 3,500 in Oregon. Okay, so is the bighorn sheep story, or I guess not really a story, but information, is it more similar to the pupfish, or is it more similar to the condors? I think the condors, right? Because the condors was a success story, how they've raised the population. And the bighorn sheep, there were none left in Oregon in the 1940s, but now there are about 3,500 in Oregon. So that's another success story. Okay, now let's take a look at this one. All right, an Arabian oryx. An oryx is an antelope that was hunted until only 6 remained in the wild in 1972. 6. Several countries have worked with zoos to bring the oryx back to Arabia. Today, over 1,000 live in the wild. Wow, it went from 6. Imagine if they hadn't stopped exactly when, there were only 6 left, right? Could you imagine if they had kept going and then they would be extinct? Look how beautiful those are. So again, would this story be similar to the pupfish next to it, or more like the condors and the bighorn sheep? This is another success story, right? Okay, I don't know that you can see the directions so well. I kind of cut it out, but you're going to go back and reread those on your own, and I want you to underline the details that you think most clearly answer the question, okay? So the question is, how does reintroduction of species and plants affect the plants and animals in a habitat? So go back and underline anything that you think pops out that could help you answer that question. Okay? And then the last thing we're going to do together today is we're going to take a look at our story. This is the story you're going to read today on your own. It's 6 pages. It's kind of short. But this story is called Welcome Back, Wolves. Spelling word, look, wolves, right? More than one wolf are wolves. Welcome back, wolves. Just from the title, do we get a feeling that it's a good thing to have the wolves there, or it's a negative thing? Yeah, totally. Come on, welcome back. Yeah, so glad you're here, right? So it's a positive. We're guessing. I know you haven't read it yet, so you're not so sure. Okay, but before you get started, let's take a look at the vocabulary words just for this story. So we have 3 for this story, and then we'll have 2 for the other story. So we total our 5 that we normally have. Okay, so the first word is habitat. Habitat. We've been talking a lot about habitats. It was actually even in the question that I just read to you, the weekly question, habitat. So we kind of have an idea of what a habitat is already. Okay, this one, solitary. Solitary. Has anyone ever played solitaire before? It's a card game that you can play. Solitaire is a game that you play by yourself. So see if that will help you with the definition. And then this word, we've been looking at this, the root of this one, we've been looking at in math. This word is multiplied, and we've been looking at multiply. This is multiplied in the past tense. So we know that that's repeated addition. But what could repeated addition have to do with wolves? Okay, so those in yellow are our vocabulary words. Now here are some definitions, and let's see if you can help me match the words. Okay, single or alone goes with good solitary. So we're going to put solitary with single or alone. Right? If you play solitaire, you play by yourself. If a wolf is solitary, it means it lives by itself. Okay. The natural home of a plant or animal. Which word is that? Is that multiplied or habitat? Good. Habitat. Okay, so the habitat is the natural home of a plant or animal. Okay? So the pupfish's natural habitat, it got moved out of. So they're looking to get it back to its natural habitat, its natural home, okay? And then the last one, let's see if this works. Increased greatly in number. Does that mean multiplied? It does. Okay, so it's a little bit different definition. If you multiply in math, you are doing repeated addition. But does your number get larger when you're multiplying, or does it get smaller? It always gets larger. When you multiply 2 numbers, your product is always going to be bigger than your factors, right? So multiplying is increasing in number. Multiplied, with the past tense suffix right here, ed, would mean increased greatly in number. Good. Okay, so you have two things to do when you finish this video. You're going to go back to your page 340 and you're going to underline details that you think most clearly answer this question right here. Underline a couple details, okay? And then you're going to read Welcome Back Wolves on your own. Okay, just read it one time. And as you're reading it through, I want you to kind of notice the pictures, the illustrations, and what does it make you think of? And what are you noticing about the author's argument? What are you noticing about the way that the author is stating their argument? Okay, so keep that in mind as you read. All right, enjoy the story.